Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Pause Capture Creates YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the A7 IV. All right, well, just got done with the photo shoot Saturday morning out here, and it is a great day. A little cloudy, a little overcast, but never hurt anyone. And for photo shoots, to be honest, it's probably some of the best light that you can actually have, just because it's so soft on people. But anyway, before I really get started with today, because it's only 9:30, I had to get Phil's coffee. If you haven't been to San Francisco before, and you are deciding to come, you need to stop by and get Phil's, because this is the best coffee, gets you fired up and jacked up. So I'm ready to go. But today we're going to be talking about the A7 IV and my first impressions of it. Just got it, first month in. Beautiful camera. I've actually had the A7 II, which is great, A7 III, which was life-changing, and now the A7 IV. And the A7 IV so far, man, definitely noticed some difference, and I am excited. So stay tuned. All right, so today we're obviously talking about the A7 IV. You know, there's so many different great features to this camera, so many different quality changes that have happened between the A7 III and the A7 IV. But before I really dive into that, I have to get some organization done. Today, at 7 in the morning, I think Amazon is fixed, but I got my new shelf with some file organization and storage space, so I'm gonna put that together so I can get right back to work. All right, so it's pretty cool. They've actually sent me some tools. Never seen this before, so I got myself a little flathead and a Phillips screwdriver. So this is gonna be unique. Got some wheels, instructions, but I mean, who really needs those? All right, well, here is where the meat and potatoes come in. I'm gonna be talking about the Sony A7 IV. Yep, that's right, the A7 IV. Now, as I had mentioned earlier in this video, I have had the A7 II. I also have the A7 III, and now I've moved on to the A7 IV, which is, honestly, it is an awesome camera. I am so excited to get out and use it more and more, but there was a bit of a challenge actually getting it. So, of course, if you've been along following this camera for a while, you know that it was released in October of 2021, and it took all the way until December. In fact, it was earmarked for December 30th for an actual ship date. But it was actually pretty funny. So I was reading an article, found out that it was going to be shipping out early, actually about a week early. It was supposed to start shipping on December 23rd, and I knew I was going to be traveling. So I reached out to B&H Photo, so shout out to them, and their customer service was fantastic. They actually were able to program, you know, my new service address so that they could ship the camera, and I got the camera on Christmas Eve. It was absolutely awesome. I was able to start taking photos immediately with my family. Of course, I had to do some research, and I ordered a CF Express Type A card, and you know, I was ready to go and start snapping and clicking away. So, but long story short, I got the camera, and ever since that day, it's been absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend it. This camera to anyone. So, by the way, this video is not sponsored by B&H Photo or anyone. That was just a shout out for the awesome customer service that they did. So I wanted to get back with you and talk about a couple of the awesome things that have changed since the A7 III to the A7 IV. Obviously, we have there's so much going on within the camera. I'm not going to dive into deep detail. If you want more detail, I'll leave a link below for Gerald Undone, who just goes into a plethora of information for you. But a couple of the main things that really stand out to me, which in my opinion are awesome, is definitely, first off, the size of the camera. So when it comes to the grip itself, The grip is a little bit bigger. It's actually the same body type as the A7S III. If you haven't tried that one out, it's very ergonomic. Your hands fit on it awesome. A lot of people talk about how their pinkies now fit, and for me, I have small hands, so it doesn't really matter, but it does feel like a solid quality camera. As you know from my previous video, that this year is all about new experiences, and for me, it's about starting a vlog. It's about sharing those experiences with you, taking you along on the ride. But when it comes to the A7 IV, this is the perfect time for me to actually go out and start to do that kind of work. One of the cool features that they've added is the flip screen. Between the A7 II, or actually the A7, A7 II, A7 III, we've been left without a flip screen. Canon has really ran with that market. Everyone loved the flip screen. We've been talking about it for years. You're looking at all your favorite YouTube stars. Everyone's like, Sony, please add the flip screen. Well, they recently released it in the A7S III, which was absolutely incredible. And so all the hopes and hype actually came true with the A7 IV, and it really does make a huge difference. I currently have my screen out right now. I can visibly see myself. I can see my audio levels. Am I peaking or not? So this is a really great tool to have, especially for content creators out there. Like the A7 III, this camera is awesome when it comes to photography. So there's definitely an upgrade. The A7 III had 24 megapixels. The A7 IV now has 33 megapixels, but it also has 10 frames per second, just like the A7 III. But the really great feature about this, especially with the upgrade of the CF Express Type A card, is that you don't have any photo rendering. So as you're sitting there firing off a whole bunch of photos, you don't have to wait to view them. If you get a high-powered CF Express card, you can immediately view those things, and it is awesome, especially if you're a portrait or a wedding photographer or engagement sessions, whatever you have out there. This type of function is great. You don't have to wait, you don't have to stall, you can just kind of click and see what you have available. And speaking of engagement sessions, I was actually out the other night. It was just after golden hour, so we're entering the blue hour, and I was shooting with the Sigma Art 24 to 70 2.8 millimeter lens. But as you know, if you're shooting with the 2.8 lens, it's not like a prime lens. You still have challenges with low light. And with the Sony A7 III, I definitely noticed that there were, sometimes when it got a little bit darker, even though I could bump up my ISO, it did have a little trouble tracking the eye. Well, the A7 IV, they've seen to really fix this. This is an absolute beast. Like, it didn't matter if I were aiming at the groom and then I turned and I was aiming towards the bride. It locked on to whichever eye I was focused on, and whatever subject the camera was directly pointed at, even if they were close and having an intimate session, it knew which way I was looking. So it was absolutely phenomenal, and I'm excited to start using that here in the future. Now, if you're like me, you're a hybrid shooter. I mean, that's exactly what the A7 IV is made for. So you can go out and do photos in the morning, and then you come back and you're actually doing video in the afternoon, or maybe you're doing a vlog. But you want the best quality possible, and this camera really offers it. It's actually a mix between the A7S III and the A1, but the A7S III, everything that you're really looking for in that camera, unless you're gonna make that investment, is here right in the A7 IV, and it is great. You have 10-bit 422, you have S-Log 3, you have 4K. It's absolutely amazing. The only thing that I'm gonna have to critique it a little bit on, and I'm still having to adjust, is the 4K 60. It does have a crop factor to it. You can work with it. I used to be a prime shooter, so they always say you use zoom with your feet. So you can work around it, and it's very easy. But the quality of that 4K is, absolutely amazing. I put it into everything that I have here, and this is what you're actually seeing on the video right now. One of the other major upgrades that they've made to this camera, which is actually very handy to have, is the difference in the toggle switch between photo and video. So it's so easy to program your settings, especially on channels 1, 2, and 3, but you can have direct settings for both video and photo with not really much interference when you're toggling back and forth between them all. You can also set up another program. It has a third option for S&Q, where you can dive into that a little bit deeper as well. But it is a huge time saver. It really helps. I've definitely been out there, especially nowadays when you're having to click and make photos for Instagram or a website, and you need horizontal and vertical, and then, oh man, I need a reel or a TikTok video. You can quickly swap and change your settings. No problem at all. Your camera can actually, handle all of that change very easily, and it's less of a mind stress on yourself. The last upgrade I'm going to talk about for the A7 IV is a game changer. And really what it does is it protects your sensor. So they've now actually included a sensor protector. So every time you turn off your camera, the protector shuts and protects your sensor. So when you're changing your lenses, you don't have to worry so much about dust or dirt or whatever is flying around in the air getting onto your sensor. For me, that was a big deal because I live in San Francisco. So obviously when I go down to the beach or there's a ton of construction going on here. So if I'm swapping lenses all the time, I always worry in the back of my mind, man, there could be a dust particle that comes in here. Beach sand is already super hard to get off. And I always feared that I would scratch my sensor. Well, that is now eliminated or at least minimalized. So I don't have to worry about it so much. And it really is a functioning tool that is necessary for all cameras moving forward. In fact, I would say that if Sony is going to continue to make better cameras, which of course they will, always add that feature in. Like that needs to be there. Now, if you're a content creator or a photographer or a videographer and you're with the A7 III right now and you're looking to make that upgrade, my suggestion is to do it. I think that this camera is head and shoulders above the A7 III, and it's worth the investment. Now, I'm not saying that the A7 III is a bad camera. That's not what I'm saying at all. It is an incredible camera. But what I am saying is that you get so much more for your money with the A7 IV. They are making some big improvements, some big changes to the entire camera, where moving forward, I have a hard time going back to my A7 III, even though I've only had the A7 IV for just over a month. That's it for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to join. Again, if you want to dive into the deep details, please check out Gerald Undone. I'm going to leave that YouTube link down in the comments below. I'd love to hear back from you. What have your experiences been this year so far? If you're thinking about making the upgrade to the A7 IV, I'm happy to chat with you about it. But again, thank you so much for tuning in to Pause, Capture, Create. Like, share, and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks. Great. If this is your first time tuning in, So one of the things that, you have 422-bit color. Hey, I love them. As we start to really, using a, are you serious?